As anyone who has ever watched this and watched Uncle Lenny, I've told you exactly what you needed to know about certain things. And one of the things is to understand how politics works differently than policy. You may think something. You may think that war in whatever is great, or abortion policy, or whatever it is. And then you got to ask yourself, well, how does this work in terms of elections? How do you win an election? What do you do to win an election? Why do people vote? Tell me the psychology of voting. How does this work? You can watch all the World Series stuff you want. The Mets are out. The Yankees are in. It had nothing to do with you. You might have been at the game. You might have cheered the team on, but it's the people on the field. Politics has nothing to do with the people on the field. It has to do with whether you're going to vote for them and whether you can cheat in the voting process. It is a mechanical process that involves a vote. You have swaths of people. You have groups of people: blacks, whites, women, gays, Asians, Latinos, people from the north, people from the south, the educated, the uneducated, the young, the old, the people who've never voted before. You have human beings, human personalities. You have things that work together. What you think has nothing to do with anything unless people actually seriously are voting. Now, before we begin, a couple of things I want to tell you about. Number one, on October the 26th, this coming Saturday, I'm going to be at the cutting room. I can't wait. It writes itself. It will be writing itself that day. Every single moment, every single time, every single moment, if you watch what is going on, is changing drastically. You are my conduit. You are my audience that only exists here. I'm serious. Every time I try to go out, I venture out into the world. I see people. They just don't understand it. They talk to me like it's Fox News or I don't know what. Fox News has done more to simplify, to uneducate, and to decentralize sometimes the complexity of the issue to a fault. But it's there, and we work with the best that we can. We do the best we can. But you're not that group. You never have been that group. You are something different. You are something smarter. You are something wiser. I can tell you things I can't tell anybody else. I this week I went to an event. I'm talking to people about weather modifications. They're looking at me like, "What are you talking about?" I talked about the DOD, the new directive and the directive manual that basically provides for the inclusion of deadly force against citizens, the complete erosion, the dismantling of the firewall of posse comitatus. They don't know what I'm talking about. You understand. They exist in this world of Fox News. And they use words like liberals. You know, these liberals. I said, they're not liberals. This isn't a liberal. This is not what we're talking about here. This is deeper. You mention Soros, mention Bilderberg, mention anything. They don't know. Mention 9/11, mention anything, and they don't know. And these are people who are rich and millionaires, and they fancy themselves as being the intelligentsia of the conservative aspect, and they don't know anything. So Saturday at the cutting room, please refer to this section right there at the top. Tells you where to go, where the tickets are available. I want to see you. I want to take a picture with everyone. I want to shake everybody's hands. I want to thank you. I want to talk. I don't want to be one of the... I'm revising the music as we speak. As we speak. I got a brand new thing on McDonald's. I got to come up with this. It writes itself literally There's no old joke. It's not a joke, but something that was appropriate a week ago. It doesn't matter. So I want you to know that. Second of all, I want you to remember that today is brought to you by, among others, our friends at preparewithlionel.com. My Patriot Supply, simply put, the absolute best for emergency food, emergency supplies, prepping. When they used to laugh at prepping, it is the place to go. Preparewithlionel.com. Preparewithlionel.com. After we're done, just go and see what is available, and your jaw will drop. Water, food, energy, gold, I think we talked about that, and ammo. The ammo, I can't help you with that, but you know what I mean. Preparewithlionel.com. Do it now. You're smart. I don't have to explain to you the benefits of survival. Now let's get down to brass tacks, dear friends. First, we're going to be talking a little bit about, I'm going to give you an abortion tutorial. And this is important. This is critical. This is something that we need to talk about. But before we do this, I want to explain to you what you are seeing now in terms of pure and total political genius is something that you have never seen before, ever. This is something transcending everything. You have a candidate who is indefatigable, who is relentless, who has the wherewithal, the energy. This is the most important. This is the most important thing I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like it. He's 78 years old. 78 years old. 78 years, 4 months, 6 days. 78 years old. It's the most incredible. He shows an energy. We have 14 days or 15 days. We have 14 days, 15 hours, 50 minutes, and 14 seconds. You know what's so funny? Some people will say 14 days. Some will say 15 days. Say, how are we having a difficult? Why are we? Doesn't matter. But we're varying this. I want you to listen to something. Sometimes when you understand herd, group, mob, mobocracy, oclocracy, Gustave Le Bon, whatever the iteration of crowds you like, there are things that we do that we just do. Certain things. I have seen this before. One day, Mrs. L and I we're traveling down Bloomfield Avenue, kind of towards Tony Soprano country there, heading towards Caldwell and West Caldwell. Passing Grover Cleveland's birthplace on Bloomfield Avenue. Right there, across from Calandra's of all places. There it is. The first president to win two non-consecutive terms. And by the way, he had some interesting intrigue with his ward, whom he married. Any event, it doesn't matter. And we'll see something. There'll be a place that opens up, a new place. It'll be, that place is going to work. Right? I like the colors. I like the lights. It's a burger joint. Right? That's going to work. That's not going to work. That's going to work. Why? I know how people are. That's not going to work because the egress is wrong. That's going to work because of this. That's good. Too kitschy. I know human behavior. They do these things. Some people are good at figuring out who's going to have a musical hit. Certain things do it. And the thing about Donald Trump is he goes in and he hits a nerve. When you love him, you love him. When you despise him, there's no meh. It doesn't work like that. I've never seen anything like it. So the other day, in passing, for reasons I don't understand and shan't understand, Kamala mentioned something about having worked at McDonald's because she is a liar. She makes things up. She takes this bullshit, pardon my French, about, well, we took the collard greens. That's true. And I put them in the tub. That's true. Never happened. Just makes stuff up. Never happened. And you know it didn't happen. And you know it. And everybody knows it. And her staff is probably saying, oh God, there she goes again. Same thing with Timmy Walls, whose name people can't pronounce. They say Waltz. I don't know why, but that's okay. Maybe they'll get it wrong. Maybe they're, who knows? Who knows how this thing works? But there he is. There they are doing this stuff. This. Oh, yeah. She's now trying to go to church. They're throwing in this last minute Hail Mary, trying her best to do whatever the hell she's trying to do. Okay, fine. So in the course of this, through some off-the-cuff thing, I don't know why, but all of a sudden she says, I worked at McDonald's. And I did. And she just figured I can say whatever I want because I am Kamala. I can say what I want. I don't know about truth. Truth doesn't bother me. It doesn't involve me. I don't care about it. Okay. So Trump turns around and says, McDonald's, you never worked at McDonald's. And then we were off and running. He shows up. Where was it, in Philly or south of Philly or Lancaster? Or I don't know which McDonald's it was. Doesn't matter. About a half an hour outside of Philly. He shows up and creates the greatest coup in recorded American political history. It's the kissing the baby, the Calvin Coolidge. Well, he wasn't. He was wearing the headdress. Baseball presidents would throw out the first pitch. You know, all of this stuff. This transcended everything. This was maybe akin to Bill Clinton playing the sax, Nixon on laughing, sock it to me. Remember that? It was like, wow. Fireside chats, FDR. Lincoln taking pictures. You don't recognize it. You don't understand this. There was a time when they thought, first of all, Lincoln actually said, vote for me. And they said, you don't ask people for vote. You just say you're out there and then they come to you. And he said, bullshit, I'm going to vote for me. Vote for me. Okay. He did it. He also put pictures when they were actually not he's just a genius. Okay. So here comes Trump. All of a sudden, everybody is going berserk. And you don't need me to show you again. Here he is at the whatever it is. But this is taken from this African-American feller who is talking about the event. This is on TikTok. This is more important. Not the event, but the reaction.
Work at McDonald's. And they caught him at the drive-thru, and check out what he says. This is so damn funny.
What does working the fryer tell you about the people of Pennsylvania?
Mr. President, you actually have worked at McDonald's now versus...
Now I have worked at McDonald's. I've now worked for 15 minutes more than Kamala.
Are you going to put this on your
I
resume?
never worked here.
Why would she lie about something like that?
Well, then put on your resume.
I worked at McDonald's.
Why would she lie about that?
Why? Because she's lying, Kamala. That's why.
This guy, I'm telling you, should have been a comedian, bro. He's so funny. Part-time comedian, full-time leader. That's Donald Trump. Hilarious. I think that's one of the biggest things that Kamala Harris lacks is just a sense of humor. Like, she has no charisma whatsoever. She's not funny. That's why she laughs and cackles all the time. She's just laughing at herself because nobody else is willing to laugh with her. We're laughing at her. You see Trump, he's not even laughing at his own joke because it's just he's just naturally funny, man. Oh my gosh.
That's worth $1 million to me. That's worth more than anything else. When people on the street, in your home, when young people are saying, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool. Can I say this? Yes. Is it all right? Yes. It's okay now. That's right. I'm not gonna. You couldn't have done this in 2016 or even 2020. It was a different world. It was a different, same guy, different time. 2020, 4 years ago, couldn't do this. If you did, they would say, "What are you talking about? He's not funny. Trump's not funny." Same person. Something changed. Just happened. I don't know why. All of a sudden, somebody becomes. Do you remember when Johnny Cash was like on the end of the trajectory? His CBS canceled him, his own album. Rick Rubin came along and said, I'm going to make you cool again. What? He goes, I'm going to make Johnny Cash cool again. And he did. Johnny Cash became the coolest thing anybody's ever seen because of Rick Rubin. Same guy. But all of a sudden, they couldn't get enough of Johnny Cash. Bob Dole. After Bob Dole, remember, after he got out of politics, he was doing the Viagra commercial, the Pepsi commercial, credit card commercial. Funniest guy anybody's ever seen. They loved Bob Dole. Everything he touched, he was golden. Same Bob Dole. All of a sudden, I don't know. Certain people do it, and I can't figure out why. I'm not going to try to figure out why, but that is important. What Trump did was genius. You know who else is genius to tell you it's okay to like Trump. It's okay to be patriotic. It's okay to love America.
I'm doing this because I think
this guy.
It's critical to the future of the country, and if America falls, nothing else matters. We're not getting to Mars or anything. And I've talked to a lot of people, like leaders in business and technology, because I was like, guys, you should really, you need to go out there and fight hard because if America falls, your company's going to fall with it. So why not? I wish more leaders in business and technology would put themselves out there. Like they usually agree with me and they support Trump, but they're afraid of saying so. And I'm like, man, the stakes are super high. Fortunately, more and more people are sort of coming out of the closet, type of thing. Like, so like saying they support Trump, it's like, it's like, maybe it's probably the most rebellious thing you could do in San Francisco.
See?
But it's like, by a long shot. So, that's, anyway, I'm not a natural politician, nor do I wish to be. I just want to make, cool technology that you'll love to use.
You see this? Somebody says, when you have a near-death experience, it changes you, Lionel. I'm not talking about Trump. He's the same. It didn't affect him. It might have affected him. He's the same Trump. I'm talking about us. Us. Not him. Us. He's cool now. Get with it. Don't overanalyze this. Don't go into, the spiritual. No. He's the same. It doesn't change him. We're different. Throw in the vector of this lunatic who caused people to say, wait a minute, you're lying. Who's that other guy? Spend all the time you want. There's a number of modalities. This is the thing which is so important. This is so critical. This is Trump. This is how they love him. Now, somebody the other day, somebody today showed that said, "Oh, they booed him." They were in a corner of the stadium, and like 4 people booed. They went nuts over him. They love him. They love him. Look at this. Incredible. And where is, and by the way, that is done. That, to her credit, is one of the films from this Margot Martin, or Martin, as kids say today. She's always walking around with her phone. She actually does good videos. She and Dan Scavino are there. They cover everything. If Trump, picks his nose, there it is. It's incredible. They love him. This has nothing to do. The people might have loved him now because of the fact that he withstood technically 3, if you believe it, assassination attempts. He's the same. He's the same. There was a woman. Do you remember? Oh, I know what her name is, honey. She's 77 years old. Do you remember Morgana? That's her name. Morgana, Morgana used to be this, she was the kissing bandit. She was billed as Morgana, the wild one. She's 77. Remember her? She was the kissing bandit. She ran out, and I think she might have perhaps prosthetically, exaggerated certain accoutrement, as we say. Anyway, she ran out, and it says that the wild one in the 1980s, she rushed the field on many occasions and kissed Major League Baseball players, including Nolan Ryan, Pete Rose, Johnny Bench, George Brett twice, Steve Garvey, Len Baker, Cal Ripken Jr. She's been described as baseball's unofficial mascot, the grand dame of baseball. And she ran out, and remember that? She would come out. Okay. Well, yesterday there was something sort of like this. She had a certain degree of panache to her. There was this. And it's about Trump and the border. She's got a sign. It's about Trump, the border Kamala. It's obviously and you can read the particular thing, the aspect of it. Okay, that's very interesting. This is. There are 2 people who always look like they are dyspeptic, or like they just had an accident in their pants. They have a look of complete and total constant disgust. Caitlin Collins, I think, on NBC, on CNN, always looks angry. She has the eyebrow, always angry. We're angry and being out, always pissed off. And this woman, who just, I'm sorry, it's always bad news. Here she is with Josh Shapiro.
Let me ask you about a development we learned about overnight. Elon Musk says he will be giving away $1 million every day.
Look at that face. Look at that face. Look at this. She's just angry. She's angry. Is this inviting you? This is Josh Shapiro. Josh Shapiro. They didn't want you, Josh, because you're the Jew. They didn't want you. They wanted walls. You were actually popular. You are popular. You're far more. You're not this pathological liar. You're a formidable candidate, but they didn't want you. They didn't want you. Why? Because you're a Jew. It's that simple. I mean, you can say whatever you want. And maybe it was they thought that, well, this, who knows? Maybe the Israeli thing. I have no. You remember, you've got to take the Democrats, and you have to think not how the way they should be, but the way they are. He would have been serious. And now he's saying, thank God I didn't do it. But remember, something might happen involving what is going on how do I say this? Well, let me watch this first, and then we can.
To random voters who sign his super PAC's petition. You are a former attorney general. Is this legal?
Why not?
I think there are real questions with how he is spending money in this race, how the dark money is flowing.
Dark money? What's dark? He's telling you flat out. I'm giving you, there's no dark money here.
Not just into Pennsylvania, but apparently now into the pockets of Pennsylvanians. That is deeply concerning. Look, Musk obviously has a right to be able to express his views. He's made it very, very clear that he supports Donald Trump. I don't, obviously we have a difference of opinion. I don't deny him that right. But when you start flowing this kind of money into politics, I think it raises serious questions.
But if you give thousands of dollars to illegals who come over the border, if you say, here's money for this, here's a cash card, here's this, here's a free phone, here's a backpack, here's an iPod, here's new sneakers, here's a bus trip, go over here, we'll take care of you. That's okay. That's okay. That's no problem. But he's saying, I'm giving you $1,000. Remember Publishers Clearinghouse? What the hell was that? Was that dark money too? It's called a contest, you schmuck.
That folks may want to take a look at.
So you think it might not be legal, yes or no?
She's still pushing this.
I think it's something that law enforcement could take a look at. I'm not the attorney general anymore of Pennsylvania. I'm the governor.
Look at this.
But it does raise some serious questions.
These miserable people. They're miserable. They're just constantly pesado. They're mean. That's another great West Tampa word, like bitter. Okay. I want to talk to you about something, and this is what I want you to understand. Okay. Number one, what could be an October surprise? Oh, I don't know. What happens if Iran opens up on Tel Aviv or Haifa or Beersheba or Caesarea or Ashkelon or whatever? What happens? All of a sudden, Hezbollah sends 10,000 drones over, I don't know, Jerusalem and unloads whatever it is. Have you seen these drones? These ones? Okay, what happens? Think about this. What happens? Who is going to benefit from that? It's war. It's wartime. And irrespective of what you think about whether we should be involved in the genocide, aside from that, who is going to benefit from that? Who is going to seem stronger? Who is going to say, like, we've got it? Because America has this hard on for Iran. I'm not going to describe to you whether it's warranted. I'm not going to tell you the history. I'm going to tell you the truth. That's what's going on here. Who's going to benefit? This one? This one? She's going to turn days before the election to her tough constituency, and they're going to tell her, don't you dare side with Bibi. Don't you dare do it. Don't you dare do it. Do you hear what I'm saying? Don't do it. Don't do it. And they're going to say something. Say something. Don't. Trump will be out there and we're going to fight because of terrorism. Again, irrespective of what you believe, it doesn't matter. What is she going to do? Nothing. Nothing. That's what's going to happen. Okay. Could that be? Yes. Now, yesterday I had this debate with somebody. I'm going to try my best to explain this to you. And I want you all to be apostles of truth, to go out into the world and explain to the world what this is regarding abortion. Okay, the world of abortion. And whether abortion, what role will abortion play? What role will it play for us? And blah, 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 and all this stuff. Okay? All right. Abortion. This is absolutely critical, but not the way you think. Let me explain this to you, dear friends. Okay. Number one, I don't care whether you are for abortion, against abortion, whether you're a Christian, it doesn't matter to me one way or another. Doesn't matter. I want Trump to win. You understand what I'm saying? Good. That's all. And they are doing everything in their power to use the issue of abortion against him. Now, let me make sure you understand what to say when one of your friends say this. What? And okay, I'm going to tell you. Trump is going to take away a woman's right to choose. Trump is going to destroy abortion rights. What do you say? Tell me what you say. Stop. Those of you writing, stop for a second and think. Those who have not written before, please join our live feed here and stop with the comedy for 1 minute. For 1 minute. And so there are some of you, I love you to death. You are as funny as a heart attack, as a root canal, as stillbirth. But I don't want to tell you you're entitled to your opinion, but you are and I love you to death. And please, I don't want you to go away. But you are possessed with this idea that you have this inane wit that when you write on your keyboard or your phone, that the comedy pours through. It's not even close. It's annoying. But look, free speech is like that. I understand it. But ask yourself, am I annoying people? Or am I saying something funny? Or am I just reacting like a patellar reflex? You say something, I say something. Okay, all right. Again, it's a free country. It's a free country. What do you do when somebody says Trump is going to take away women's rights? What are you going to say? What are you going to say? Now, here we go. Look at this. Wendy Sloan says, Trump says each state gets the right to choose its own abortion laws. It's not the federal government's job to do as per the Constitution. Wendy, thank you. Let's have this made into a T-shirt. Wendy has got it. Let me say it one more time. Wendy Sloan says, Trump says each state has to get to choose its own abortion laws. It's not the federal government's job to do that as per the Constitution. Absolutely, positively, 100% correct. Understand this? You understand this? Look at this. Censorship favors nonsensical comments. That is not true, Mark. You know that is not true. That is not true. That is not true. That is not true. Believe me, that is not true. Do not try to explicate or to justify nonsensical comments through some kind of weird draconian limitation on expression. Do not do that. But I digress. The Constitution. This is it. Dobbs was the case that overruled two cases, Roe against Wade, and Casey. Those two cases. The Constitution. Dobbs. That's it. Who leaked the memorandum? We don't know. Why don't you know? We don't know. You only got like what? How many clerks are there? I mean, who leaked this? Don't know. They just didn't look. They knew, but they figured we're not going to. Okay, that's it. What did it do? It said there is no constitutional guarantee to an abortion. Not that federal law. Federal law could pass it. The feds could pass it. The feds could do whatever it wants. The feds could pass a law tomorrow that says that capital punishment is against them, is banned. Okay. The federal government could say banned. Okay. The federal government could say that tattoos are banned. You might have an interesting case there, but the federal government on its own. So then afterwards, you would say, okay, let's go to the Constitution and see if we can address this. Is there a constitutional right to tattoos? Maybe not tattoos, but expression, maybe commercial expression. Okay, that's it. But if you ban abortion, is there a constitutional right to an abortion? No. Here's one for you. If there is a law that bans sodomy, is there a constitutional right to sodomy? No. Or any kind of sexual expression? No. Here's a reverse one for you. Let's assume that the state of Wyoming eliminates any minimum age for marriage and makes the marriage of an infant possible. Is that unconstitutional? No. Just because it's not in the Constitution or covered by the Constitution doesn't mean that it's possible. YouTube says, Lionel, can you enlighten us on the things the Constitution says the federal government covers? Yes. Forget the federal government. Let's just talk about this because remember, the Constitution basically dealt with abortion in states. It was the state. Here is what the story is. And listen to this. This is the basis behind it. This is it, and it's as simple, and I'm going to tell you this. It may sound complicated, but it's not. There are protections under the 5th and technically the 14th Amendment, but let's say the 5th Amendment. No one, remember this, make a note of this, no one can be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process. Process means procedure. Procedure is called process. It sounds weird. How about they should like a fair procedure to address? That might be better, but the way the language at the time was, they called procedure process. Due, D-U-E, meant fair process, procedure that is due, that is warranted, that is earned, that is necessary. So what it means is you can take away somebody's life, you can take away somebody's liberty, their freedom, put them in jail, or their property, eminent domain, whatever it is, civil. You can do it so long as you have a process, a procedure that is due, D-U-E, due to you, and fair. And normally what that means historically is notice, basically what you're being charged with, what the subject of this is, and the opportunity to be heard. Namely, a hearing. That's all. Hey, why are you giving me the death penalty? Because of this. It's in the indictment. Do I have to say anything? Absolutely. Let's go to trial. Notice, opportunity to be heard. Ta-da! Life, liberty, property. Okay? The only guarantee from the Constitution was the procedure, not the right. It didn't give you a right to anything. It didn't give you a right. It didn't give you a right. It just said the procedure. That's it. Now you can talk about things like the right. You can talk about the First Amendment, the right to be people to for the freedom of press and all that. Yeah, it's sort of. It's the same. It's the same theory. But what they did was, and this is the most important, they created something called substantive due process. That sounds so. When you say it, you can hear people almost falling asleep. What it means is they said, yes, it's true. This Constitution only talks about the procedures. But sometimes there are some laws that are so important, so great, that we give them their own right, even though they're not mentioned. And they created this thing called privacy. And privacy was made up. They created this out of nowhere. In this 1965 case of Griswold against Connecticut. William O. Douglas, it was about the contraception case where men and women and adults and even married couples couldn't use contraception. Oh, for the love of God. And they said, this is ridiculous. There is no law. There's no federal guarantee to the right of contraception. Sorry. I mean, you might be able to try it to an expression of opinion, but the Constitution does not say you have the right to everything. There's no right to sodomy. There's no right. Sorry. Oh, they're going to love this. Was it Lawrence against Texas? None. Unless you can show something. Lawrence against Texas. Was it Lawrence? No, Lawrence against Texas. Yeah, that was a case. But Loving against Virginia. This was a case, it was the anti-miscegenation case. This was the law that struck down those prohibitions against blacks and whites intermarrying. And one of the reasons why was not because of due process, but this thing called equal protection, where you're treating people differently. Blacks and whites could marry, but blacks and Asians could, and this and that. Brown against Board of Education. They realized due process, separate but equal, 14th Amendment. There's a reason for it. And equal protection is the weirdest of them all. It doesn't mean that you can't treat people differently. You got to have a reason for it. And if you involve race and national origin, I believe religion, race, yeah, race, national origin, and yeah, that is strict construction, meaning you really better have reasons why you're treating people differently. If it's gender, sexual, sexual preference, you have to have a rational basis. Well, we don't really, as long as you got a reason for it, yeah. So the Constitution is filled with these rules that have been developed over the years, and they're difficult to understand. I could treat these people differently. What about felons? Felons are treated differently. Does that equal protection? No, that doesn't apply. No. Okay. What about children? Can I have a law that says they have to reach the age of majority? No, that's okay. Really? Yeah, okay. That's all right. That's different. It's different. So what happens is they'll say, look, do your favor, self a favor. Here's the Constitution. Just put it over here. Put it over there. Just put it aside. Now let's go to your state. Hey, state of Florida. What do you think? Whatever you have, you're on your own. Okay. Let me tell you what they want to do. The state of Florida is so thankful that they can do this because they want to really go crazy. Let me tell you what they want to do. The state of Florida has a thing called Amendment 4, and they want to do things. First of all, in no particular order, they want to destroy the notion of viability. Viability means nothing. When the abortion is 2 weeks, 15 weeks, 22 weeks, doesn't matter. Viability doesn't mean anything. Viability meant in the old days, if a baby could live on its own, I call it a baby. If a baby, if delivered or removed or whatever, could live on its own, that's a different story. This Amendment 4 takes that away. Doesn't matter. Baby can be sticking his head out. For all they know, it's hard to say. Okay, that's number one. So viability. Number two, parental consent. Oh my God. Parental consent. They don't want parental consent. They now call it parental notification. Meaning, you parents, under this new amendment, as long as they tell you 2 weeks after, a week after, whatever. That's notification. Consent is a different. You kid can't go the hell am I trying to say? To a field trip without your consent. Your school nurse, if they have them anymore, can't give your kid an aspirin without your consent. If your kid has lice and they can't quell or something, they can't touch it. But this, the same thing they're trying to do when it comes to children and their age or their gender dysphoria. Okay, so viability is one thing. Number two is notification versus consent, and number three, here's the best part: as long as it is deemed safe or for the safety and the health of the mother by a health practitioner. Who's a health practitioner? I don't know. What about the abortionist, the abortion doctor? That'll do. Wait a minute. You're going to an abortion doctor, and all he has to do or she is say, yes, this is for the health of men. Yep, that's it. You basically have, through this amendment, removed every limitation, viability, parental consent, and now, well, who's this? Can a nurse do it? Is she a practitioner? I don't know. That could not have been made and done without Dobbs. Roe didn't allow that stuff. Roe was, this actually is the best news, the best. And they say if this works out, Florida is going to be the go-to destination state for abortions. That, I think, six states in the Southeast. Let me say this again. The best thing that ever happened to pro-abortion, pro-choice people in the state of Florida is the elimination of Roe, of whatever it is, through the Dobbs case. Now, what happens? What happens? Is there a constitutional case? You say, hey, we want to strike this down. Well, you're killing something. Well, now we're going to get into some interesting stories. Let's take this and compare it to euthanasia, okay? Or youth in Europe, for that matter. Just kidding. Now, you know and I know we have euthanasia cases. We have assisted suicide. It's not murder. It's not murder. Can be. Somebody says, hey, doc, yeah, I'm in pain. Well, take this. What? It'll terminate your life. Now, wait a minute. Hold it. There's some limitations of this. Physician-assisted suicide. We never had that before. Now we do. You see where this is going? By removing Roe, this opens the door for this. So what you can say is, what are you doing? You got what you wanted. You can go to states. You can have Florida is going to absolutely have no abortion law. None. You can go to a clinic. I don't care if you're 13 years old, 2 hours before the birth of your baby, have it done. As long, Mr. Abortionist, is this okay with you? It's okay with you? For my health, right? Absolutely. Okay, let's get it done. That's it. Done. Finished. Under this new provision. What are you going to do? Call the police? It's the law. Why? You passed the amendment. Interestingly enough, you're doing what Trump said to do. What we're saying. It's a states' rights thing. Florida, it's up to you. Don't look at me, Florida. Don't look at me, Ron DeSantis. You decided this. It's up to you. Does this make any sense to you? It's up to you. There's no federal prohibition against it. Nobody can say, okay, hold it, you can't do this. Why? Well, you can't do it. Excuse me, you said there was no right to an abortion and no right against an abortion. That's true. You're on your own. You're on your own. This is it. So these people are making it sound like if you vote for Trump or don't vote for Trump, it's going to be the end of the world. Cut Up Chatter says it's actually about harvesting nearly formed heart, lung, and brain tissue. Well, it's not. That has certainly been a part of that, because you got to ask yourself, where does this go? What happens to, and it's a very good point, what happens to these super pluripotent stem cell like? That's another story. Harvesting, whether it goes into makeup and they grind, whatever. The other day I was sitting at a table and I said, this doesn't matter, Amendment 4, because there are the people who are going to vote for this may or may not be voting for Trump anyway. This is not a deal killer. Trump has never really talked about abortion. He says whatever the states want to do. But let me tell you what's going on. The state of Florida, through Ron DeSantis, is going through what will be one of the most draconian cases ever. Look what they're doing. Look what they're talking about doing. So remember something. And you're going to have to ask yourself this question at some point or another. It's going to happen in your state. What do you think should be the law about this? If you believe that abortion should be in your state, Tennessee, Georgia, illegal, where there can be no, that's never going to happen. That is political kiss of death. This is a reality. But for purposes of us, it has nothing to do with Trump. Trump never talked about this. Doesn't. And he put into office some textualists, the original interpreters, Alito, Clarence Thomas, Scalia then, who said if it's not in the Constitution, that's it. This is not the only guarantee of things. But because people don't know any better, because the public is ignorant, because people don't understand, they believe that somehow this is a prohibition against, I guess what you might say, this is a prohibition against all abortions. It's not. But I'm going to tell you something. we're going to see and are seeing abortions at levels you've never seen. And it's going to be something that you as a citizen, you as a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim or a whatever it is, or an atheist or a Buddhist, are going to have to figure out. You're going to have to see whether this comports with your view of the real world about life. But this has nothing to do with Trump, but they're going to do everything in their power. Now, when you meet somebody who tells you this, I want you to do this. This is what Uncle Lenny is telling you. What, Trump is going to about abortion. When did he say that? When did he say that? They won't be able to answer it. Well, he appointed the justices of the Supreme Court. What did the justices to the Supreme Court say? What? What was it? What did they say? What did Dobbs' case? Did you read it? Of course not. What did Dobbs say? What was the reason for this? What did Dobbs say? Next, is abortion illegal in this country? Of course not. If you want it to be, you can. If you want it to. The Constitution provides the right, the ability to have the death penalty, because it says you cannot deny somebody of life, liberty, or property without due process. Life is a death penalty. There are some states, New York and others, who don't have a death penalty. Most states don't have it. That they opted out, even though the Supreme Court says you may have it as much as you want. They say we don't want it. Fine. You opt for your own particular sense of being. This is the kiss of death. But remember this. Whenever you meet somebody, you just say, Trump, you never said that. He never said that. Yeah, but the case of you never said that. Yeah, but a woman's right to never said that. Yeah, but this is you Trump wants to take a woman's right away. He never said that. He wants you to keep saying that. He never said that. He never said it. He never did. He never said that. Never said that. Now, in the meantime, going back to what's happening, these people are freaking out. They see it. And when all is said and done, and they have this meeting, this post-mortem, so to speak, they're going to be asking, how did this ever happen? What was it? Where did this come from? How did this ever? Who picked this woman? How did this happen? How did you ever let this happen? Tell me. We have to know this. How did you ever allow this to happen? By what stretch of the imagination did you or anybody permit this woman? Did anybody ever check her? Did anybody ever vet her? Did anyone ever? How did this happen? Why didn't we pick Josh Shapiro? Why did Obama come here? Did you have anything to do with this? Well, how did you allow this to happen? Why did we pick Joe Biden? As bad as you think Joe Biden is, and as bad as he is, Joe Biden would have been far better than anything she did. How did this happen? Obama, you're supposed to be running the Democratic Party. How did you allow this? What was her platform? I don't know. Did anybody check her? No. Anybody vet her? No. Does she know what she's doing? No. What about Walz? Why didn't they pick Josh Shapiro? Because he's a Jew. Because nobody will talk about it, and the Democrats, we don't talk. It's not that they're, I don't use the word anti-Semitic. I think the word's gone the way of racist, but they hate Israel and the government of Israel and Bibi Netanyahu and the Likud party and settlers and settler colonialism and Nakba, and it is almost 100%. There is all you have to do is spend any amount of time on just on YouTube. Judge Napolitano, Mearsheimer, the genius, Jeffrey Sachs, Colonel McGregor, you go down the list, Amy Goodman, Democracy Now, the keep going, Max Blumenthal, Aaron Monte, Katie Halper, keep going. These are the left. This is the left. I'm sure Cornel West, I'm sure Jill Stein. This is the left. They're looking at this. They're using words like genocide, ethnic cleansing, apartheid. This is the left. So loud, the squad. Ilhan Omar, she's being very quiet. I don't know what. Rashida Tlaib, Ayanna Presley, go down. It is blowing up, but you'll never hear it because there's this wall with that soundproof. You can barely hear the murmur. You can barely hear it. They're ready to explode. They can't believe what's happening. And with Nasrallah and with Sinwar and everybody being these targeted assassinations or deaths or murders or whatever it is. I mean, it is. So you have this undercurrent. You have this, and they've been able to keep them quiet for the longest time. But the Democratic Party has had this very sizable, very large contingent that is furious. So, and deep down inside, I do know, and you can tell, Kamala has nothing to do with Bibi. Never even wanted to meet him. Never was part of the cavalcade, never. Now there's this fight among the Democratic Party, and they must have said, let's do me a favor. So what did Adelson do? She said, I'm going to dump $100 million into Trump. Trump made absolutely clear through Jared and others, I'm with Israel 100%. That's that. Okay, that's over there. What about the Democratic Party? What are they doing? They're scared out of their minds. They have been so good. And to show you the real power of a democratically controlled media, they never bring it up. Oh my God. When CBS, tried with that feller whose name I can't pronounce, but when they said, your comments regarding Israel and the Palestinians, it sounds like it's something that will be found in a book in a backpack of remember that one? Well, that was quashed very quickly because even the lefties at CBS said, wait a minute, what are you doing? Are we pro-Israel? Oh, no. They don't know what to do. They were told in no uncertain terms, you can talk about anything you want, lefties, solar, this and that, climate change, whatever you want. Not Israel. Do not mention it. Okay, so that's coming up. And you've got this huge torrent. And what they're freaking out more of is they're worried about a kind of a none of the above. You saw it in Michigan. Kind of a none of the above, abstain. We're not voting for anybody. Remember what I tell people. Either vote for Trump or don't vote for anybody. This is the most important, the most critical thing anybody's ever seen. It is beyond anything anybody has ever seen. And nobody talks about it. Nobody. Not on TV. And the internet they do, like you can't believe. Like you can't believe. I mean, it's exploding. Exploding. The left. They're going crazy over what's happening. You never know. Here, if you ever had any doubt as to the firewall, that's it. And I'm telling you only about this politically. I'm not even taking a position on this. I'm just for purposes of this. I've already told you I think about it. This is horrible. But aside from that, doesn't matter. How does this play for him? And listen to me. This McDonald's thing was good. Also, do you think Joe Rogan's gonna find it? If Trump goes on Joe Rogan now, all of a sudden, surprise, surprise. And Elon says, do it. Dana White says, do it. Joe Rogan says, okay, Trump will do it. And they're going to tell Joe Rogan, If you give them a hard time, we will cut your balls off and we'll hand them to you in a jar. You can always look at them. Do you know what that would do? Do you know what that would do? You know what that would do? On Joe Rogan. And I swear to you, I'd make a deal with it. I'd do something nobody'd ever done. I wouldn't mention her one time. Not one time. That would drive her more crazy than anything else. He could talk about Joe, talk about the ultimate fighting, talk about how he worked, how he was instrumental in helping Dana White out. He loves boxing. He loves it. He was, of course, talking about this. Ignore her. Ignore her. It'll drive her crazy, more crazy than anything else, because you've just said, I'm insignificant. Is that going to happen? What do you think? Is that going to happen? It's got to happen. It's got to happen. It's got to happen. And let me also ask you this. What do you think is going to happen if all of a sudden Israel decides you're going to go after Iran? Or there was some talk, some people were hinting that there was this wild, they said, hey, was this an earthquake? Or they don't know if they're testing. I don't know. I hope to God this doesn't happen. But if there is some kind of a skirmish, altercation, border crossing, attack, something serious, not the usual stuff, not the usual drones, but something significant that requires somebody to turn to her and say, well, what are you going to do? Because America, as you know, you say Iran and people just go crazy. Bad guys, bad guys, bad guys. They just do. I don't care who you are. There are people who will say, I'm for the Palestinians out of this, and Nakba was here, but what about Iran? They don't like Iran. Iran, when you have been so conditioned for so long to absolutely, positively, without a doubt, maintain this anti-Iranian. Okay, so two different things, two different factions. What do you think is going to happen? What is Trump going to do? Trump is going to be triumphant. Trump is going to be behind people 100% and terrorism, and that's it. What's she going to do? And then he turns to her at the last minute and says, what are you going to do? Because America hates, they want you to be decisive. Do you hear what I'm saying? Listen to me. Second thing is Joe Rogan, the finale. The finale. Right now. Days before the election. Days before. And he never mentions her one time. Get ready. This is going to be bigger than anything you've ever seen. And let me remind you what we saw over the weekend regarding this McDonald's thing was so big. The internet is exploding. The memes are going berserk. This is a different world we're living in. And he has this wonderful confluence of political genius, knowing what he's doing, a change, a different zeitgeist, and the worst candidate in the history of American politics. The worst candidate ever. Not we're talking about Tampon Timmy. The worst. People from you feel this momentum. I don't remember this in 2016. I don't remember this in surely not in 2020. I don't remember this ever. Do you? Do you remember anything like this? Never. And this man's energy, where is he going tonight, honey? Where is he going? Somebody. He's just going crazy. And Kamala, nothing. She walked out of the day 7 minutes. North Carolina. Okay. North Carolina. Remember, King Mountain. What's that? Uranium. Not uranium. Lithium. Lithium mining. They didn't want that. The locals said, we don't want you to mine. We don't want you to destroy we don't want you to. What happened then? The hurricane. Does that prove that weather's manufactured? Of course not. Is it coincidental? Of course it is. Is it worth pursuing? Absolutely. Come on, stop it. All right, dear friends. Thank you so much. And YouTube and Cut Up Chatter, thank you. Don't forget, my friends, October the 26th. October the 26th. This is Saturday at the cutting room. I'm going to give you, there we go. Here we go. Right here. Tickets here. Right here. I'm going to put this up for you. I want to see all of them. Get them in now because, the prices go up day of the show. You know how that works. That's it. Tickets here. Do that. And also, friends, preparewithlionel.com. I'm telling you, I'm saying, I know nobody wants to think this, but you got to be happy. You got to think good things, and you've got to prepare for negativity. And what these bastards are going to do is to show you that they're in charge, to make you absolutely feel their wrath, and to cause as much calamity and as much confusion and as much, remember, Hegelian dialectics, problem, reaction, solution, thesis, antithesis, synthesis. Okay, you got it? Okay. All right, dear friends. Don't forget to follow Mrs. L as well at Lynn's Warrior. See you tonight at 7. And until then, my friends, remember, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue you. Dead.